Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. In this episode we will learn about the diverse methods of debugging your game in CRYENGINE. We will use different tools that CRYENGINE provide to understand the current events in your game, how to debug and improve the experience of your player, how to improve your performance, followed by a few tips and tricks around debugging. By the way, my name is Roma and I am the technical evangelist. The following video you'll see was live streamed together with our very own support engineer Joshua Nuttall and Jeremy Wade, our technical community manager. And if you are new to this series, you might be wondering what you are currently looking at. We made a cool little game project called Breeze and introduced some parts and pieces of Breeze to you in the live streams. You play as a small robot dropped somewhere on a low poly island, trying to find fuel to fill up your rocket and return from your vacation. During our original stream event, each mechanic in a game was introduced one at a time, including some commentary from our resident developer experts at Crytek, who of course also work on our own games. Now, we are bringing you all of that and much more, as we are adding step-by-step tutorials to the mix, enabling you to create your own island filled with beautiful low-poly assets and some platforming game mechanics you can enjoy. Where do I start?
Yeah, so first of all, what if we finish in the prototype? That's always a good milestone. So I guess the first thing is, what most people are very familiar with is this lump of text that most people see when they open the engine. And this can be very useful for just keeping track of things as you build in your game. So the most important one for most people would be FPS. But for the most part, we don't really care too much on the FPS specifically. Yes, it's nice to have a high FPS. What we care more for are the milliseconds, which is actually not displayed in here. This is something you find elsewhere. But normally, the lower the milliseconds, the higher the FPS, and milliseconds are always consistent on platforms for the most part. So it's easier to keep track of performance using that. Other important things here is the renderer you're using, so here DirectX 12, any extra effects you have on, your draw core count, poly count. This set of numbers here are useful for if you're loading the game for the first time or learning the level for the first time.
I would have a short question. I have to. I hope it's okay if I interrupt you here and there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I have a question for Jeremy, and I will ask like this questions that may be obvious to you guys, but maybe there are other people out there who just simply don't know what this is I'm talking about. So you just said, okay, we have the DirectX 11 profile. Jeremy, can you tell me what a DirectX 12 profile would be, or where's the difference there? Because I know that we can have DirectX 12 profile as well, right?
Well, actually, there are several renderers that come with CRYENGINE. The default is DirectX 11. We also support DirectX 12, Vulkan, and another couple proprietary renderers for consoles. But generally, DirectX 11 would be fine. We try to make sure there's feature parity between all the different renderers. So that means you have the same features on any of the rendering backends that you can choose in CRYENGINE. This is essentially to make sure the different backends are to make sure that we can actually run on different platforms. So certain platforms won't run DirectX 11. You'll need Vulkan, for example, and vice versa for all the different renderers. So generally, the different renderers, you shouldn't see too much performance apart from the platform that you're having to use it on, and the features should be the same across platforms. Okay,
thank you. That answers it pretty much. So Josh, continue with DP.
Yep, so another thing on that is it's important to note Vulkan and DirectX are still experimental in 5.6. So if it doesn't work, it's not intended to right now.
Okay,
don't panic.
You're going on the comment from Sunlock, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we have these shader cache stuff. So a lot of times, like when you're using the launcher builds of the engine, you probably won't see these numbers change. But if you're building from source to do some optimization that you've found or something, you'll probably find these numbers go up, and these are just things that need to be compiled in the engine. For example, textures, shaders, that kind of stuff. So normally we recommend you, when you open the level and you see these numbers, just wait for them to go. It would take a second or so, and then carry on with what you're doing. Video memory. So most people kind of have a concept of that. You have places to store assets on your CPU and places on your GPU. Video memory is your GPU place for storing things like textures and buffers and stuff. Just for the most part, these aren't issues anymore, but they used to be on older platforms. Number of dynamic lights. I believe the first number is the actual number of dynamic lights in the scene. I can't remember what the second one is, but there is an entire docs page that we can post in the chat that will cover all this stuff.
Yeah, so we have some dynamic lights over here. The Fireflies casting some dynamic lights.
Yep, and this lovely error, well, I say error, it's more of a warning, it's not going to break anything. Essentially, because we use tiled lighting, we set a limit per tile. So if you know how tiled lighting works, we just split the screen up into chunks and render so many lights per each chunk of the screen. And this is just saying we've skipped one light in the renderer because it makes no effect. So it's more of a optimization thing, but it's good to know what's happening sometimes.
Okay.
So, first of all, any questions on that stuff?
Yeah.
Because I know that was pretty quick.
But it's pretty obvious what's going on here. I mean, the numbers are... Well, of course, if you're pretty new to CryEngine and pretty new to game development, this will be a little bit... Is that DP display still configured for Xbox 360 PS3 draw calls, or did that change by now?
I can't remember what it's configured to. It might still be configured from old builds of the engine, the legacy stuff, but there is a CVAR to change it. And I'm pretty sure it's on the docs. If not, just contact me and I'll send it you. Yeah. I guess next step would be view modes. So this stuff was covered briefly in a few streams.
We covered this a little bit with Tom.
But there's a few that are important for just general usage.
And if you, again guys, if I say stuff like, yeah, this was covered with Tom, we had a session already with Tom Dierberg, the artist who created this awesome level. And if you want to catch up with this, with the stream, I think they will be online pretty soon, or are already. Jeremy, can you confirm on that?
Tom Dierberg stream?
Yeah, the artist stream that went live on, I think we had it on Friday.
You can watch via the past broadcasts on Twitch, but the YouTube things will have to sort out at a later date.
Okay, but yeah, the videos or the broadcasts are still on Twitch, so if you want to catch up, just click on that link. Oh, just go through videos and look for the stream with Tom Dierberg, the artist.
Yeah, there is a small time limit on these videos, though. That's not our doing. That's Twitch's time limit. So
yeah.
If you want to see them now, I'd see them before they disappear.
Yeah. Okay, just continue with the view modes.
Yep. So these first few are specific to what's happening in the renderer. So you have normals, smoothness, reflectance, albedo, and so on, like lighting models, translucency. These are all essentially, when the renderer runs, it stores certain images like this of data it can use for other things. So normals get stored in the gbuffer and used in other parts of the rendering. And this just allows us to peek into what's happening at these points in time. And for anyone that's deep into rendering, you can find out like image formats and stuff at the bottom, which could be useful to some people. But for the most part, an artist tends to look at these, but not in the same way a renderer would. So an artist would be looking to see if the normals are flipped or if the smoothness is too exaggerated and those kind of things. So these can be useful for that. Things like subsurface, so you can see if some effects are working. Speculative validation, so this gives you, essentially, if you had this, it gives you a rundown of what this is doing. which is nice and easy to understand, is make sure things are as you expect for the most part. And then these next modes, you actually have to go back to the default renderer to see them. So first one is default material. You'll see it changes material quality. It's essentially so if you have, for example, 8K textures or 4K textures and that's killing your performance, one easy way to find out is just enable this. These are all essentially 1x1 textures at that point. So your texture budgets and your processing for the textures would have gone down to 0 near enough. So that's always useful. Some of these, like these ones, are not updated yet for this specific version, so don't worry. This one is very useful to a lot of people. So if we go to, whoop, no. Go to collision.
Wait, let me control because yeah. Yeah, there we go. There we have some collision.
So this one is your collision proxy one. So this is essentially being able to find out if your physics are working, what shape your physics are, that kind of stuff. And if you look at the rocket and get closer to it, you see it's pulsing red and a few of these objects are flashing red. This is more of a warning to say that this is very complex collision. And it's recommended in these scenarios that if you can simplify it, you should.
Yeah. The reason why it is so complicated, for example, like this platforms or yeah, those platforms are pretty bright in the color because those are just really simple meshes that are just split multiple times. And I think the proxy here is pretty fine, but those are really heavy on the loop cuts I did, and as soon as I broke those simple objects like a rectangle or a box or something, the number of vertices and polys increased, and as soon as you just let that be. For example, I didn't change that much here, it's still a designer object, so it just takes the exact same geometry of the object and make a proxy out of it. And of course it's way too high. I think just a simple box here will be enough with some extrusion over here. So yeah, this is way too high for a normal object. I mean, it's pretty precise, and the performance is still pretty fine, but normally if you would do that in a multiplayer game, you would optimize that pretty much to a really good state, and so it's not red anymore. And the same goes for the rocket.
Yeah. It's normally the more complex the collision, the slower the physics are going to be. So 1 or 2 objects is fine for most cases, you just don't want your entire scene to be flashing red. There's also a point where if you have way too much collision, it will display a specific texture which tells you this. And sometimes you may actually want to go above it. For example, if you're doing a kind of prototype where you just import a giant object and you want to run around it, there's a max try count for physics CVAR, and we can post that in chat. I think there's a docs page for it, or you can try search it up. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I think it's like Proxy Max Try or something. It's
Fizz Proxy tree limit, it's 10,000 now.
Yeah, so essentially you just raise that number if you want a bigger thing, or you can set it to, I believe, -1, turns off that checkup entirely.
Oh, okay.
As with most things in the engine, -1 just avoids the feature. So,
yeah, okay.
So this is for the straight up error, so this doesn't affect this flashing, this is for preventing the physics from working. There's a second CVAR which is p_proxy_highlight_range. I believe it is, at least that's what I was told from Anton. p_proxy_highlight, yeah, you probably got it. But yeah, this one, as you see, changes this kind of threshold stuff. So the higher the number, the further away the flashing is going to be.
Okay, there's no flashing at all now.
So yeah, that can be useful at times.
Yeah.
Especially if you decide like you're going to have quite complex physics in your game, and you're okay with that, you've tested it, you can set these numbers around what you're targeting.
Okay. If you have any questions regarding proxies, just shoot them right away, guys. And I think then we will continue to go into the next view mode.
Yep, so next we have, what's this one? I believe this one isn't currently working. Let's go into wireframe. So yeah, pretty standard wireframe. This shows you the kind of triangles and vertices of your mesh. So essentially, if you're familiar with modeling or anything, this is the basic form of your model with no surface. So you can use this to just check things are working as intended and things. Then these two aren't currently working. Then you have your texel stuff. So if you turn around, yep. So I believe Tom covered what these do specifically.
They hit it.
But essentially, for the most part, closer to blue the better it's going to be. Although you're probably going to balance it in the middle for most cases.
Yeah.
And you have different kind of checks for that. And then these two are just general like LOD checks and just removing LOD, well, using the minimum LOD at all times. But we have no LODs, so some things vanish.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that's all pretty simple on that stuff.
Yep. Guys, if you have any questions regarding the view modes, just ask them right away. I think we can continue with for the moment with just those console stuff that kind of bugging me over here. Maybe Jeremy, you can expand a little bit on that. What's going on here? What does the console want from me? I don't get it.
Okay, so the console is going to have a lot of information. I mean, you can see there's a lot of stuff in that console.
Let me give you the control over the PC. Yeah.
Oh, I have control. Okay. Okay. Yeah, talking with control is I need to change something. So basically, yeah, the console has a lot of information. What we'd rather want to do is come over to the sandbox warning notification center. Yeah, and if you click on history, you'll get all the specific warnings that your level is giving off. These are probably the ones that you want to clear first. The stuff in the console, they might be an issue, but they're more outside of the level usually. It might not even be related to a system that you're using. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff here. Some of the things that are in this log can be actually double clicked. If you see that there's a box with an arrow, that means it can take you to the object. In this case, an object is removed, and that will take you to the object or the place where the object was removed, or the object that is the duplicate. And this can happen for other objects, such as objects with materials with incorrect surface types. But yeah, a lot of these things we can go into more detail a little bit later, and maybe try and clear a few of them to give you an idea of how you would remove these. But yeah, generally you want to try and keep this as minimum as possible.
Okay, so I think the first iteration of this would be just to understand what's going on here, why the arrows are popping up, and what the arrows are doing. I think what I just knew before is that this little button also brings me to the actual problem. That's new information for me.
Yeah.
For example, what does I mean? I have this a lot, like XML reader can't open file, so he's not able to open a material file.
Yeah, so some of these errors might be due to the way that your character is created and the way you've assigned the material to it. So if you look 2 lines above what you're on, you have the player character default.mtl.
Yeah.
So you've imported a character, it's given it a default material, but you haven't used that material. You've actually made your own material and assigned it to the character. But due to how the character is defined in the binary format, there is a material file specified. So it's always going to try and load that default material. So things like this, if you know that your character material is fine, then you can ignore that warning, for example. Other things like you can't open the empty.mtl file. That would need a little bit more investigation on where this is coming from and how we can get rid of the error. It might need some notepad edits. Not everything can be fixed just inside the editor, unfortunately. There might be a problem with some files that have been created that you're not using anymore that are lying around. So yeah, we can, as I say, we can go into a bit more detail if we have time and try and clear some of these errors in more detail. But generally, if you see that there's, say, an incorrect surface type, this is usually quite common if you're using the templates. Yeah, so if you double click on one of these.
He does not go anywhere.
Okay, then we'll have to... Yeah, okay, so you have the entity names that's coming up in the console.
Yeah.
So you can find them by looking through the level explorer and then go to the material properties and change the surface type that way.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got that. Okay. Let me open up the asset browser for this. So I know exactly where those files are hidden. They are in object, platforms, and there I have just one material file. And then, yeah, those... Hello, material file? Material editor. And there we go. Yeah, so those don't... Yeah, they don't have any surface type, but they need one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you generally want to have a surface type for everything, even if it's default, it does nothing. As I say, the same way the replace me texture you see there, there's no material assigned or texture assigned. You always, if you're going to have a texture or a material, you kind of want to put an actual, like the data for that texture or material, right?
Yeah.
So this is a way that the game engine can warn designers, like, hey, there's a material missing here, or there's a surface type not set here, just to let them know that, you know, you might have missed this. Double check, make sure it's right.
Okay, so yeah, we solved at least some of this. Okay, we solved actually all of them. They should not appear in when we restart the engine, right?
Exactly, yeah. If you have solved them, they won't show on subsequent engine starts.
Yeah. And texture does not exist. I mean, I think this is something self-explanatory. There is just something that expects a texture, but we obviously generated a new environment probe, and that's why it's not reading this texture anymore. So I think that's something you can ignore as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, if it's not causing an issue, generally it's not a big important message. You might have more important things to do. But if you have some issue that you think might be related to an error, then generally collapsing all these and fixing all these is going to narrow down the suspects, if you know what I mean. So it's always a good idea to try and keep these as low as possible. But yeah, some things, if you know that a missing texture and you don't see any missing textures come up in a level, then yeah, maybe it's fine. But that's a judgment call that you'll have to make.
Yeah, okay. There's a question. Can you make an entire game using flow graph only? I think we did that with Crysis, right?
I mean, actually, there's I can't remember the name of that. There's a really awesome game, community indie game that was made entirely from flow graph. It was very impressive.
Dr. Sanomaly?
The racing glider one.
Oh, yeah. Of course, Josh.
Yeah.
So the racing glider example was really just made in Flowgraph?
I believe so, from what I was told.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I believe so. And yeah, there's been a couple of other Flowgraph-only games, but yeah, I mean, Flowgraph can get you really far. It is quite hard-coded in the way it is in the engine, so it's why we want to update the visual scripting systems with schematic, for example. But yeah, we Flowgraph is very powerful, and you can get very far with it, and it is what the Game SDK uses for all of its designer logic, pretty much.
Okay. Okay, then I think if we have time later on, and by the end of the stream, we will go through some of the problems and we'll try to solve them. But for now, I think we should continue with rendering issues, right, Josh?
Yeah, we can do rendering issues. So, yeah, there's a few things that we'd probably start with. In terms of actual errors and things being weird, we can cover that when we start doing external tools. But to start with, let's imagine there's a performance issue. You'd bring up the rendering profiler, so r_profiler1. So this is kind of the first stop for most people in terms of performance stuff.
I'll give you back the control so you can explain. Oh, yeah, perfect.
So the key things here are mainly this main thread and render thread stuff. So essentially there's two core threads on your CPU in terms of the engine. There's actually quite a lot, but in terms of what we're talking about here, there's the main thread, which is your game logic and the kind of foundations for the engine. Then there's the render thread, which handles all the rendering specific tasks. So this will handle things like your CPU side culling and things that you do there. You also have threads for physics and audio and stuff. In this example, these aren't the problem. And you see here that the GPU is pretty busy as well a lot of the time. So generally what we have here is what you would want to have is this balance between all of these bars, because it means that no bar is particularly causing problem. Say this GPU bar went really far up and these were all dead low. It tends to mean your GPU is causing problems, and things like this GPU latency might start going up a little bit. And all it means is you're limited by the rendering capabilities of your hardware. Your GPU is not powerful enough, so either scale down your things or improve, or you have to bring down the graphics, optimize your scene, or you would have to raise your minimum specs if it's your low spec machine, for example. Then we have a initial breakdown of kind of like a top level view of what the render is doing.
But before we're going into that, there is a question. Hey Josh, so are there times when FBX file will fail to be loaded into the engine? Any way to track the failure cause?
Yes, but not. I don't believe we can from the binary version. If you get dirty on this source version, you can step through it all if you're crazy.
I think one way to track the failure or the cause of the failure is going into the resource filer log, a resource compiler log.
Yeah.
This is one way to see, okay, what's going on here, what exactly caused the issues, and maybe you can describe what's exactly going on with your FBX file, because the last few months I was really passionate about our FBX importer, and even the last year I tried to push some improvements. So yeah, I do know one of the things about FBX. Maybe, Jeremy, do you know a better way to track a cause for failure?
Yes, pretty much. From my point of view, it's the same as Josh. If you have the source code, then you can step through and see exactly what's failing. Maybe there's a property or parameter that it's not happy with. Yeah, apart from that, the RC log is the best bet for looking at any kind of warnings or errors that it might spit out.
Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, Josh, sorry for interrupting, please.
No, that's very good. One last thing on that as well is, chances are you'll have some kind of info in the console as well, which will tell you what's going wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, back to this GPU stuff. So here's kind of like a top level overview of the main parts of the renderer. So it will kind of pinpoint roughly where your problems are, but won't give you exact answers. So you see here, like the two most expensive things for us, or the most consistently expensive, is the lighting and to some degree the effects. And that tends to be because we have quite a simple scene here with S1E14, which is quite an expensive lighting in terms of general lighting, but is also very well optimized for complex scenes.
But Josh, I will be very dramatic here. But Josh, if I want to go into detail, is there a way to get into detail here?
Yes, profile it. So, so we don't have.
That's the details.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't get scared by this one. This is just a lot of information presented in a programmer fashion. So yeah, essentially this is a list of every stage in the renderer. Well, pretty much every stage in the renderer. It relies on us commenting them for this, but we're safe now every stage in the renderer with information about what it's doing. So you have things like the GPU times, the CPU times, the poly count it's using, and that kind of stuff. And you see a lot of them are highlighted yellow. These are the ones that they're most expensive overall. So you see volumetric fog is quite expensive compared to other things. And that's mainly on the GPU. That's because it's quite an expensive technique to run. You'll find, where is it? S1E14 here is actually fairly cheap in comparison. For the scene as a whole, it's not that bad. So we've actually optimized that pretty well for this scene. You see here that he's actually still running screen space reflections despite turning it off multiple times. So that's still going.
I don't. It's off. It's off. I hate screen space reflections. I love screen space reflections when they are optimized. You know, when the artist is doing stuff No, I'm just ranting again. I'm sorry.
But you'll also see here that disappeared straight away. That's now no longer in this list.
Thank God.
So you can essentially also find out what effects are running by doing this as well. So if you're unsure if something's running and you don't have access to the console for some reason, but you have access to this, you can just find out what's in the render pipeline that could be causing problems.
So, okay, I have a lot of questions here.
Go for it.
So I think most of the stuff is self-explanatory. I mean, shadow maps. Okay, you understand. Okay, shadow maps is causing this trouble amount here, and Swoggy is causing this trouble amount here. But what is, for example, MB?
Motion blur for the most part, I believe.
Oh, motion blur. Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense because velocity tells motion vector apply, blah blah blah. That makes sense. And what is post effects LDR? What is going on here?
Right, so part of the render pipeline is we break it down into stages. So here we have the overall graphics pipeline. So this is everything from here downwards is part of that graphics pipeline. Then we hit a G-buffer stage where we rendered textures and so on. And you see as you come down you get a post effects HDR, which is your high dynamic range down here. So this would be things that require the full range of lighting to take effect. Then there's a point where we do tone mapping, which brings this like crazy color image back into scale of a monitor, so you can see all the colors. And then we can apply extra effects on top of that in a LGR stage, a low dynamic range. So things like bloom and stuff need to know the full range of lighting for the scene. But things like temporal AA and SSMA don't need to know the lighting information. They just need the final image. So it's easy to perform that here. But yeah, for the most part, they're more rendering specific things. So people into the rendering side of it or touching the rendering side of it will care more for those. But for the most part, you can just, if you want to know if it's the effects that are being heavy, you can just look at the HDR one. The post AA is normally pretty consistent.
Nick said, somebody mentioned in one of the earlier streams that the level there is SSR's natural enemy, and I think that's beautiful, and I agree with that. But then gamedev made it easy as, wait, the level has things that are SSR natural enemy? What does this even mean exactly? So
yes, so I can actually go into this. So
yeah,
if I
please.
disable that one, and actually turn this back on for a moment.
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing that we actually explain why SSR is a problematic feature in this level specifically.
So actually, the trees down the right with the clouds behind them is a good example.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come closer to that so we can see it better, and get it in the water. So you see, for the most part, if you can see it on the screen, you can see it in the water, which works fine. The problems come in cases where you can't see behind the object. Example, like here we can actually see all this, but we can't see what's behind here. So in reality, this reflection here doesn't exist. So it's actually just copying what it can see in front of it and stretching it down. So the area we have the platforms, we have a lot of objects covering the player's view and blocking things behind it. And this means there's a lot of missing information in the reflections. And it's more, the technique of SSR has this limitation, and there's ways around the limitation, but they can become expensive. So when developing an SSR, we had the choice of making it very, very cheap and easy to run, or very expensive, but fix a few of these problems that are more edge cases. And with Hunt being on console and stuff, we went for the cheaper, easier option in terms of performance. And for the most part, the reflections are more than capable for everything. So this is why you get these kind of banding lines. So if you go to the platforms,
I will move to the platforms right now.
So you can see it pretty strong here when you can't see behind an object, but you see where it's supposed to reflect. It's kind of just pulling this information downwards until it can actually get a valid reflection.
Yeah, I think we can see pretty good around here.
Yeah, that's the main reason why this is an enemy of SSR, is because SSR doesn't like things that are not grounded and have no clear connection to the ground. But for most AAA games or most indie games and stuff, you're not going to have this kind of setup. So it's not a problem.
Yeah, I think we can see it pretty much here. I mean, here it looks kind of fine, right?
Yep.
I still don't like it personally because, yeah, as it was already mentioned, this level is a natural enemy of SSR. It also doesn't fit quite well into the cartoonish and
yeah,
it just doesn't fit really well.
Yeah, the CVAR is to improve the quality of SSR and improve the tracing, but for the most part, it's kind of a trade-off of performance and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think in a realistic level, this would look a little bit better.
Yeah, so you can disable that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
ray tracing gets around all these issues.
Yeah,
It has more information.
I should probably add, probably the main reason this is the enemy of SSR is the fact that the ocean is reflective. So
yeah.
that
it's a
is
huge ocean, right?
a big no-no to use with SSR. Is large flat surfaces that reflect everything basically.
Yeah.
Usually, like SSR is a tool for the designer to bring a little bit of realism to reflective surfaces in mainly smaller scenes. Example, puddles on the ground. They work really well with SSR, this kind of thing. But you might have noticed this is a flat plane. I think we explained it before. The ocean is
Just
one
the
giant
geometry.
plane.
Yeah.
And it's reflective. So it's going to try to reflect everything in the scene, and yeah, it doesn't work very nicely with SSR, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And normally the water shader has its own version of SSR which limits a few of these issues, but can be a little bit more expensive in cases.
Yeah. And gamedev easy wrote, I can see why this is a natural enemy of SSR. And wait, guys, Nick said, okay, now let's try add ray tracing. I think this is like a go for us to introduce the new ray tracing technique. We are allowed to do this now in the stream. I will do it now. Wait, there's just a C bar which says activate activate ray tracing, and everything will be ray traced.
It's maximum rays.
Yeah, just engage maximum ray tracing, and this will work. I'm just joking. Can you tag objects to not be included in the SSR? I don't think that's possible. Or correct me if I'm wrong, please.
I don't believe you can specifically go out your way to tag objects at the moment. If you have access to the renderer, you can avoid things by putting them in separate lists and stuff. But I believe the only way to do it is what we use for weapons and stuff normally is the draw nearest. But this would then draw it as a screen overlay style element rather than with context of the board space, which is why it avoids SSR.
Okay. What could possibly go wrong? Absolutely nothing, mate. I mean, it's fine if we introduce ray tracing now. Super secret ray tracing button engaged. Yeah, we should do that actually. If we release the next engine update, we should call the button for this super secret ray tracing button. Somewhere here, like this huge red button over here. Engage ray tracing, super secret button, and then click on it and everything will be ray traced. Even you will be ray traced in real life.
So you make the community happy by making it a toad?
I think so. It needs to go right next to the make game button. Yeah, I agree.
Is that just beside the instant beauty button?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have an instant beauty button and it's called wait, let me check how it's called. No, this is the false one. Just give me a second.
It's called Launch the Engine.
Well, wow, that was smooth. And the instant beauty button is called active on total illumination. I mean, let's see if it's deactivated. It doesn't look good, but if you activate it, and it will automatically look beautiful. So we have this one already.
Yep.
I think, Josh, you were showing me a really nice little menu.
Oh,
Yeah.
Josh,
Earlier to do with profiling and performance.
So
I'm sorry, I was distracted by the by the memes over here.
my favourite little feature that most people seem to have kind of let slip because it's not used that often is PerHud. Oh, if I could spell it right. So you have sys PerHud.
Yeah.
And if you jump into game, I'll let you control this because it's a lot easier.
Wait. Yeah.
So you now have freedom of the mouse.
You can control the mouse now here.
Yeah.
That will be fine.
So the downside of using this mode is it takes the mouse out of the game. So ideally you'd bind it to a key button or something in your game to use it. But essentially this gives you these 4 buttons on the top left. And if you go to, for example, the rendering one, and enable, just go to debug, this allows you to disable certain effects, like for example, I don't know, vegetation would be an obvious one to get rid of.
Oh, this is hard to control.
Take your time. And you see as he toggles things, things instantly vanish in relation to what he's toggling. But
Oh
it
no!
does more than this.
It disappeared.
You have also stats in this, so you can go to the stats one.
Wait. This is let me go. Rendering, debug. Can I freeze camera? No.
No, I believe you have to do some setup for that.
Yeah.
Go to work.
Okay. You said.
If you go to the main menu and go to stats, go back one,
Yeah.
and then you can enable things like just pick one. Any of them will work.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, these give you loads of, essentially these are all the debugging tools built into one set of menus. The only catch with this is the particle one, don't press it. I'll give you that warning now.
Where's the particle? Where's the
On the left, it will crash the engine. Don't press it.
I want to press it.
It's a 100% crash, and it's something I've mentioned to QA, it's on the list. It will be done one day.
I will press it! Okay.
Have a look at the system stuff.
Yeah.
So here you can actually enable things like the FPS counter. Yep, if you go to FPS buckets, and this gives you a more broken down FPS counter, which is really nice.
Okay. Yeah, this is pretty detailed.
And essentially this was designed, from what I've gathered and what I've been told, this was designed for one of the Crysis games for console, when they moved it to console. And it was kind of left there in the engine, and yeah, no one's really done much with it since. But it's still extremely useful.
This is definitely extremely useful. No, Roma, don't do it. Game dev made easy, press the button.
So yeah, if you need to remember any like CVAR for performance tracking and stuff, sys_PerHud is the one to remember.
Okay, that's a really useful thing. What is streaming debug?
That handles like streaming different levels, different assets, that kind of stuff. But yeah, text size is a good one. So this tracks the size of textures in memory. So you see here that your voc2_ddn is actually your most expensive texture.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, this can give you pretty much every piece of information you would need. So, any questions on this stuff, or anything that you specifically want to see on this stuff? While we have it open.
I'm allowed to push it at the end. I think
you can push it for the next step when Jeremy takes over.
Exactly. I think Jeremy, it's your turn to go over to the Visual Studio part, right?
Yeah, can do. Yeah, we can do that.
Press particles! It's crashing! Awesome. Let's switch to Visual Studio. I will give you the control now.
Just a reminder for things I'm not sure that question was referring to, the how to open it one. But that CVAR was sys_PerHud.
Yep.
I'll type it in chat just for ease.
I'll show how to open it. Yeah. Please type the. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So let's start, Jeremy. What do you want to show? What do you want to do? I think here there is. Oh, maybe Jeremy, you just can explain why do we need Visual Studio now? What's the reason for it?
So this is going to be more of the programming side. So when you're creating your game logic, you're obviously going to come across some bugs. No one's perfect. There's going to be some issues. It's not quite so obvious in the game level. You're going to have to put some extra pieces in the code to try and narrow down what the cause is and help you fix it. So Visual Studio has quite a few tools that are quite useful to debugging components, and we also have our own macros, C++, that can help you.
Oh wait, guys! I think we got hosted. Unfortunately, we cannot see any.
Yeah, I just saw that. We're now just under 300.
We got raided. Oh, guys, please, the awesome streamer who raided us, can you type in the chat and say something like it was me, so I can say thank you to you, because we don't have any alerts going on here. We will fix that for the upcoming streams in the future, but for now we don't have any alerts. I'm so sorry for this. Crytek host. Oh, it was Crytek. Oh, it was Crytek. Then I don't have to say thank you. It was necessary. No, thank you guys. It was Crytek.
That's awesome.
Hey, thank you, Yannick, and welcome. I hope you had a really great stream. I hope you had a lot of fun showing our amazing product, and I hope you didn't die a lot in Hunt. How was the stream?
Yeah. Where was you, Jeremy?
It's like the meme. Do you know who hosted us? Yeah, of course I know. It was me. What is the program you guys using to collab? To collab, what exactly do you mean to collab?
The teams.
Oh, the teams. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're using Team to share the screen. So I'm sharing currently my screen to Jeremy and Josh, my two guests, but our voices are in Discord. Yeah, exactly, guys. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sticking to the stream. Welcome to the Summer Academy. This is where the place where you can start off learning game development and how you can, or we also explain a lot of things that we do in a company that brought you Hunt Showdown, that you obviously really love. So yeah, Jeremy, I'm sorry. You can continue, and if you stick around for a little bit, we can show you the project that we have been working on.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, huge! Is this where I can complain about bugs?
Depends on the bug.
We have to be careful here, Josh.
If it's a bug in Hunt, then complain to Hunt. If there's a bug in using the engine, then hi.
Where's the difference, Josh? I mean,
we don't use the engine to play Hunt.
Yeah.
You kind of do.
Yeah.
That's my point.
So maybe, let's say maybe. Hello, debug. Maybe. Yeah, Jeremy, please continue. I'm sorry for interrupting.
That's all good. Yeah, welcome, and every lovely person from the Crytek channel. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of the macros that we have in the engine that will help you debug some stuff. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the logging options. We actually have several different logging techniques that will let you log the file and to the console, so you can see it directly in the editor and in the game. And different macros will do different things. So if we go, let's make a button.
Oh yeah, short question. Since when is CRYENGINE free? It's for, yeah, just, and Nick already answered the question.
Okay, so let's make a button so we can see what we're doing.
Jeremy, I'm not sure if I attached the project to the local Windows debugger.
That's fine, we can start it from here.
Okay. Yeah, I think 2016, Nick. Yeah, 2016, 2007. Nope, 2016, I think.
It'd be CRYENGINE 5.0 would have been the first one, I think.
Yeah, was the first iteration that was for free. CRYENGINE.
I mean, unless you count for SDK. I don't think they're counting that in this case.
So, Jeremy, what is it exactly that you're trying to do now?
Okay, so right now I'm just adding another button, like a binding a button, in this case the number 5 on the keyboard, to do something. And this will let us see exactly what these commands are doing. So the first thing we'll do is there's cry logging. So you have the normal cry log. Cry log always, as the name suggests, will always log no matter what. It doesn't matter if what logging options you have set. So we have different options for logging, say warnings only, errors only, certain modules. This will always show up no matter what.
Yeah.
Then we have...
In a minute, Nick, in a minute.
Then we have warning, which is actually a bit more of a detailed function. So here you can specify the module that it's coming from and the severity and then what you want to log. So as I say before, you have options of changing the logging of certain modules. You can filter modules so that you don't get warnings from modules, or you only get warning from certain modules. These modules are hard-coded for now, like rendering, game, things like that. Then you have the severity, which can it changes the pre-text, so it will either say warning or error, and also the color in the console in the editor. It can also change that, so it can highlight items for you. So we'll just do a little test with the cry warning. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I'm typing here on an English keyboard and Roman's using a German keyboard, so there might be some symbols appearing that I'm unaware of.
I can change that to an English keyboard.
It's mostly the same.
Yeah, so I need the dot, colon. I'll take it from here.
You sneaky dude. Yeah, again, I'm using the German keyboard because I'm the German. And this is my personal PC, so in my personal time I do tend to type and write and read in German.
Alright, so this will give us a warning in the console.
Yeah, and guys, we will switch to the engine just in a second. Oh no, warning!
I need to send the code.
Oh nay, there is a warning.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Alright, so we can try this.
Okay.
So we'll build the solution.
This should work without any bug, without any.
It'll definitely work. Don't even think about it. It's perfectly fine.
It's okay. Okay, so, started CRYENGINE don't have any experience with how it looks, so maybe I turn it off in a few minutes. Yeah, this is our. Yeah, okay, fine. So you set it up as our starting project.
Yeah, so I set the editor project. It's a proxy project. It doesn't have any source files or anything. It's just used so you can set the starter project to the editor. Okay, so now we're running under the debugger. Roman actually opens a level for me.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if we jump in game and then press the number 5.
Wait. Yeah, there we go.
And just tap the number 5 a few times. There you go. You get a warning in the console.
Warning.
And it's yellow. So yeah, this is yellow because it's a warning. It's a preset color. If you have the source code, you can obviously change the color. Change the color of all warnings. Obviously, in the text file, the log file, it won't have color. Text files don't have color information for the lines. But in the game and in the console, it's actually really handy to see these different colors. So you can see there's an error there as well, and we can execute these errors the same way using the cry warning macro and specifying the error as the severity. Okay, so that was the warning logging part.
Yeah. So if two people controlling the same PC at once, weird stuff will happen like this. But maybe I will just introduce to the new people what we exactly are working on here. So since you guys may be aware of Gamescom and stuff, and since you're coming from the Hunt Showdown stream from Janneke from Crytek, you are very fond of games and stuff. But before the Gamescom, there's another com which is called DevCom, and we are currently participating in the DevCom, which is more for developers and business people. But since the whole situation right now, the com is taking place online, and we have a 2 weeks program, and we then came up with a small project to introduce We'll explain all of the small bits that goes with game development, like how to create a character, how to create gameplay mechanics. Hey, Cutline, nice to see you here. So you made it. That's really cool. And yeah, this is what we did here. We did a small project. We have a really small robot here running around, and his task is to collect these fuel cans and run to his base or his rocket over there by going through small objectives here and there. So the goal is to get to this point here and to deliver the fuel cans to this point. And this is something that we came up with within 2 days. So don't expect that much, but I still think it's a beautiful and really nice project. And yeah, and what we are doing, we are explaining exactly the aspects of this project, how we did things, how are things done in the engine. Yeah, and we have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, this is what we are doing. And right now, the current session is about debugging stuff. So if you finished your project or your prototype, whatever it is in the engine, which is, again, as already Nick mentioned, is completely free. You can go and download it and start right away. You need to know, okay, why my FPS may be low, or what is exactly going on here. And this session is about debugging stuff and understanding what's wrong, what's going on there. Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy, there is Sunlock requires something from you. I don't know what this is. Maybe you know.
Yeah. So Sunlock is mentioned quite useful. It's a little bit limited technique, but it's very useful for small changes.
Okay. I will give you back the control so you can.
Yep. All right. So he's mentioned edit and continue, which is a Visual Studio feature. Comes by default, and we can show how this works quickly. If I can remember where it is. There we go. So come here, you'll see the debug information format. We can actually set it to edit and continue. By default, without this, if you wanted to see changes that you've made, any changes at all, you have to recompile, right? And when you recompile, then you need to start the engine again. So now that we've selected edit and continue, since we've just changed it, we will need to close the engine and recompile.
The engine is not closed yet, I think. Yeah, we have to stop. Does it stop?
There's a thing in the way. I can't click.
Oh, wait.
You can just click PerHud and it should prompt you to restart.
Wait.
Just do Control-Shift-B.
Yeah, that's fine. It's gone now.
There we go. Okay. So we will build this quickly. We don't need to start the engine. I mean, it will be doing the same thing as before. Pressing 5.
Sorry, Nick. I have a pillow desk. Don't make me use it. Use it. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Be careful on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we built the engine. It does the same thing. We haven't changed any code. So we can start the engine.
Hold this pillow talk.
And you can load the level and jump in the game again.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. Just like Nick said, we can talk about stuff. I almost said the other word. But the game dev team, yeah, they are a bit strict on what they can say and what they can reveal, so it's a bit complicated. But nonetheless, all of the guys are amazing on the game team. they just have a wrapper around their mouth, and we don't. I mean, if we say something bad, Nick will kill us, but that's fine.
Yeah, you can take my punishment.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you spam 5 again, we'll get the warning just like before.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if we go back to Visual Studio.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change it to an error. So the easiest way for me to activate this, I found, is just to pause and continue. It will recompile the project and apply the code changes to the actual executable that's running in your process.
Sorry, you already have 3 messages in Teams. So yeah, probably effed something up. Yeah, wait. Yeah, people are getting ready to kill me. But that's fine, I will survive it. No, I'm joking.
So join us in the next stream without Roman.
Yeah. Sorry, Jeremy, continue, please.
Yeah, so if you jump... Oh, yeah, if you jump in game and spam 5 again.
Yeah, wait. Yeah. What do you mean remove the noses? What noses? Yeah. Do you want me to press 5 again, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Softly 5. Or?
That's up to you. Whatever you're more comfortable with.
Okay.
Okay, so we're still getting the warning.
Oh, nose warning. Remove the noses. I can't toasted gears. I have to do them. Yeah, so I pressed 5.
That is interesting.
I pressed it softly now. It didn't work.
Okay,
Yeah.
hang on.
We'll point out here, this is why this feature is not on by default.
Yeah, this can be a bit finicky sometimes with the rest of the engine modules. Could also be that this is a what's called a lambda, so it's a captured structure. This might actually not change with the capture structure, so what I will do...
Oh, thank you, Nick's attack. Sunlock says it works with lambdas, or I think maybe he means lambadas, but that's something different.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to work, then, so we'll see, hang on.
Do you need me to change the language to English? So, the keyboard language.
No, this is more entertaining.
I can manage.
Okay, you can manage. Okay, that's like a challenge for you, right? You like this. Don't make me ask some specific questions. So I should just stop suggesting things. So suggest stuff, Sunlock.
Okay, so this is the limitation of edit and continue. So we've changed something that cannot be patched with this feature. Or it could be a build error for some reason. Oh yeah, so I've tried calling it before it sees it.
Puts pillow on your face. Shh. It will be over soon. Jessica, it will be over really, really soon.
So we'll just try this one more time.
Yeah, I'm jumping in. And I'm pressing 5 again, really softly. No changes.
Okay. So it seems this feature's yeah, a little bit finicky, unfortunately. Doesn't seem to be working for us.
It's okay, it's not an engine feature, it's a Visual Studio feature.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not our problem.
I
So
will try restarting just to see if that fixes. But yeah, it is a quite useful feature when it can work. I mean, the small changes that I've made is perfect for edit and continue.
2.5 out of 2.5 gigabyte. Okay, I'm pressing 5 again.
Wow, something's
Something's going on here. So here's a broad question. What is the lowest spec PC that you guys know of that game built in CryEngine can run smoothly with? Wow. I have no clue.
I mean, it really depends. Like, the engine doesn't really say you have to have this hardware. It's whatever you use the engine to do. So for the most part, if you have DirectX 11 support and a CPU that came out in like the last 15 years, you can probably run it to some degree.
Now it's red.
Alright, so we're getting the error. Didn't control it. Beautiful. Okay.
And what are some easy ways to ensure that your game can run on as many system configurations as possible? Making a 2D game, I guess. And of course that depends on the project, but
I'd say optimization and not doing silly things is the key.
Just take like, I think, no, I'm not able to talk about this. Damn it. But if you look, yeah,
like volumetric fog, like a lot of games might not need it, and you might throw it in because it looks better. But by doing that, you're limiting a lot of hardware from running because it's quite intensive.
Yep.
So it's just avoiding things like that.
Well, if you notice in the background there, it worked. So that's edit continue. I changed an error to a warning without restarting the editor. Okay, so there's when you're programming game logic, usually you're not going to want to put a log for every variable or something if you just want to check. You don't want to have to put if something is wrong or if a variable doesn't equal something, then log and all this extra fluff. What we can do is use asserts. And these are mainly for the programmer to know that a function is taking in data that it didn't expect, basically. And these asserts show little dialogues in the engine. They give you the source file, the line number, and the expression and text that you set to the assert. And they're really useful for finding, as I say, data that comes in that the function doesn't expect. And we'll give you an example of this quickly now.
There's also a question, does the engine support all kinds of scripting languages?
In terms of specific languages that you would consider a scripting language, I think Lua is the only one that qualifies. But you can do game logic in C++ and C#. And I guess Visual Script if you count it.
Yep.
Or Flowgraph in our case.
The laptop I use for current project has an i5 3320 and uses an Intel HD graphics 4000. It works, just not with Swaggy very well. Something off topic but related to iteration of player debugging. Is there a way for the player to process an existing created or created in sandbox entity so that the entity gets the local player entity ID and receives the become local player event Can you guys answer that?
Sorry, I'd have to read that question. Hang on, trying to find it.
Yeah, so the question, to sum up, if you attach an entity to the player, can the entity get the local player ID and become player event, become local player event?
Yep, the templates already do that. So I believe this already does that. So by default, yeah, you see if we have this become local player event, this can be executed. I believe it's from the game plugin. You registered, essentially the first one to join the connection is you. So you'll always get your own callback before you get other people's callbacks. And I believe that's how it's done, but I'd have to double check. But yeah, if you message me on like Discord or something, I can get back to you on that one with some code examples.
People are ranting about JavaScript now. JavaScript support would be boss. No, just no.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is going to work. No, okay. So there's a limitation. There's a new global or static variable.
Okay.
The assert that we made, so we'll have to close the engine and restart.
Would there be a issue about C# scripting in CRYENGINE? Maybe.
Yep, maybe. We don't know, to be honest.
The future streams is not decided yet, we just know it will happen.
Yeah.
I guess my best advice is keep mentioning it to Nick and maybe something will get organised.
Yeah. Just spam Nick. We'll be fine. Just spam Nick.
So pressing 5 won't do anything because the assert doesn't trigger. If you press 6, hopefully something should happen.
Okay. Do you want me to go back to the Visual Studio again?
No, hang on.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second. Well, that's interesting. So that should fire and give us a message on 6. Perhaps it's not registering.
Maybe it's a good example to demonstrate breakpoints.
Yeah. So we're going to see if this gets hit. Okay, so it hits on 5.
I believe I know the problem here. By default, when we release CRYENGINE, we have asserts disabled.
That is a good point.
Right, we are in release. So
Yep.
Yeah, so usually there's some asserts that maybe slip by or that aren't big problems, so we disable asserts to make it easier for new users to get used to the engine without all these pop-ups.
yeah, thank God, because in my time as
will-
a as a QA, I hated I hated asserts.
So I'm not sure if this is actually modifiable at runtime.
If I will have game asserts
believe it.
now, I will have Vietnam flashbacks.
I think it is.
It's not doing anything.
Okay, yeah. So we got a log in the console that an assert was given. We get the file name and the line. I think the dialogues is disabled, which is why we didn't get a pop-up.
Yeah,
but we got it in the
there's
logs.
Different stages to the sysassert CVAR, if I remember right. Do you have a question mark? Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, we are not allowed to fall.
Okay, yeah. So, was that a crack? We didn't hit an assert, no.
No one saw the crash. That's fine.
Okay, so yeah, what we've done is we've shown the logging options with CRYELOG always. You have CRYEWARNING, then you have the asserts, which is more programmer based. It gives a nice cleaner interface to check incoming data and make sure it's what you expect.
There's a lovely question there about testing frameworks.
Yeah, I just read that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, Josh, continue.
I believe you should have access. You might have access to Google Test in the engine by default. If not, I know it's accessible if you just drop the SDK into the source builds, and you can use that. I don't know if it's in these builds, but there is a CRYTest tool that was, at least it's on the builds that we use. If it's not there, I'm sure we can talk to Nick and see about getting it public at some point, because it could be useful. Yeah, for the most part, there are testing frameworks, it's just I'm not sure if they're accessible from the launch builds. Carry on.
Yep. Okay, we activate the system alerts again. So, do you want me to jump into game?
Yeah, so if you have dialogues enabled, if you want to press 6. So I'm not sure if we can see this on the stream. You see a dialogue, Roman?
No, it's it has decided to take a break.
It's probably just because we're toggling at runtime.
Yeah. Okay. Well, usually when you're developing, you'll have these sysasserts and sysassert dialogues as one. And whenever you have a false condition for your conditional check on CRYAssert there, it will show a dialogue. And then it will give you the option to continue or ignore. So if you're happy, you're working on something else, and you get an assert from someone else's stuff that you're not bothered with right now, you can just ignore it. Or continue if it's a one-time assert. So then you can focus on your own asserts and your own code. But yeah, so that's the logging and the asserts, and we did a little bit of editing continue, thanks Unlock. And yeah, a little bit of breakpoints. I mean, breakpoints, if you're doing C++ programming, I'm sure you know about breakpoints. You can even set data breakpoints. I'll give an example. You put an equal sign in there. Apply it on your keyboard.
Yeah, sure. I can put it here.
And another one, sorry.
Another one?
There we go. So now we have a data breakpoint.
Nick also has a suggestion for you to cover debug drawing.
I think we're almost at the end of the stream.
There is the following breakpoint cannot be set.
Okay, well this lets us do something else. So the variable is optimized away. So because it's such a simple function and we're on profile, a lot of optimizations are added. So essentially, in this case, it probably doesn't even use the variable. It's just separates into two functions and it just runs straight. There's no conditional checks because a conditional check is called a branch in computer science. That basically means that it has to do some extra calculations before it can run the next piece of code. And prediction in the CPU firmware can't predict where it's going to go as efficiently. There's a lot of the speed that you get from processes nowadays are from predictive branching. So this is an optimization that the compiler will do to make the code run a lot faster in most cases. But we can actually toggle that off locally. If you go back to Visual Studio, we can tell it to not optimize this little function. Okay, I need the hash.
Let me change the language to. Now you should be able to do that.
That's American, is it?
I can also cover Quitline's message after this.
So wait, let me do the hashtag.
Yeah.
Oh, no, now it's in English. Now I am confused.
I have an English keyboard. So
Here you go. Let's unlock it for you.
There we go.
No.
I will correct that. You see, guys, I did some of coding. It's so easy to program.
Perfect.
I'm so good at this.
Okay. So what that tells the compiler to not optimize that specific function. Now we've compiled, we can start, and the data breakpoint shouldn't give us a warning anymore.
No warnings.
No warning? Okay.
Should I trust your visual scripting skills? Yeah, they are awesome.
Okay, so if you jump in game and press 6.
Don't we need to activate the alerts?
No.
Okay. Yeah, there's.
Okay, so we hit the breakpoint. So you'll see that the variable correct, if you hover over correct, it will tell you that it's false. And that meant that it hit the breakpoint, the condition that we set on the breakpoint. That's very useful if some bug is only happening with a certain data type coming through your variables, and you want to step through the code and see what's going on. And also, one more useful thing, this is not going to fire anything right now, so we can actually skip this. So what we've done there is we've dragged the current execution to the next line. So that means it will skip the cryocert. And it fired again because I think that's an on release. We got an on down, on push down on the button, and then we got an on release of the key.
And there were some buffered inputs as well.
Yeah, a few more inputs came in. And yeah, so we skipped the assert entirely. And even if we had asserts on, that would have skipped the assert if you're dragging the next the execution pointer around. Yeah, there's some useful techniques in general C++. I mean, as I say, if you're doing C++, you may know a lot of these techniques already. And if you didn't, I hope I helped you out.
Yep, thank you for that, guys. I think we're coming close to the end of the stream.
Yeah, I want to quickly go back to what Cutline asked earlier about remote monitoring.
Yeah.
So we don't support external monitoring software, but we do have our own. So if you go to the tools folder, we have the remote console, and this can be used to essentially take in console input from remote executing things. For example, a console.
Oh gosh. It's in the engine folder, and I don't know where my engine folder is.
Well, there's an easy way to find it if you go to the launcher.
Sure, sure, Josh. Oh god, yeah, I need to. Yeah, wait a second. I have two different logins, and I don't know the login to either one of them. Okay, yeah, I have it. I just go to my work-related login. Yeah, this works out. Where are my engines? Yeah, there it is. Reveal and explore. There it is. Okay.
So in here you have remote console.
Yeah.
If you go to x64 and just launch the remote console.
I'm so scared of it.
So
those signs are not okay. Those signs make me uncomfortable.
So essentially, this is a remote login software for the engine, which tracks all the errors, warnings, and all that, and you come and see what's from it. Currently, it won't connect because it's a compile option for the engine. So I believe you need a source build for the engine to run it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is our alternative to external monitoring software. So I hope that helps with your question. Any other questions before we disappear?
Yeah, Toasted Gears, let us know what's going on there. We can help you. Maybe we can help you in that regard. Yeah, and if you have multiple questions or other questions, please ask them right away. And if we are off and you still have a few questions left, join our Discord account. And as soon as you've done that, you can ask questions and get some help from the community. Thank you for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that episode, and if you did, please leave a like or a thumbs up. That helps us a lot. And if you are new to this channel and you like what you just saw, please consider to subscribe. And in the video description, you will be able to find some really awesome communities, like our Discord community. If you have any questions or you need some help, join the Discord community. Links always in the description down below. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.